it'd be fun to talk to you today about creating and mainly about starting. And so today I have these book pages, I have black paint, and I just have a selection of brushes in a few different sizes. And all I'm going to do is paint on these book pages, just different patterns on these pages. And I get old books from thrift stores usually, or if they're an old book that I have, but I don't have many of those. So thrift stores is usually where I go because when I am an avid reader, I love actual books over ebooks. I think it's wonderful to still walk into a bookstore or a library. I love it. So pulling books apart at first, I was like, oh gosh, I can't ruin a book. But I found that if I got books that were a little worn and old, like falling apart old, I didn't feel so bad about ripping the pages out. So if you're having a hard time at first, get some really old books and then it will be a little bit easier. So starting, we're going to talk about starting. That mark is the hardest part of this whole thing. That's it. That starting is a hurdle and it is hard to get over. And I know that's where a lot of you can stay stuck, and I don't want you to be stuck there anymore. So I'm going to tell you about some things that I have learned about starting. One is a principle from people who are much smarter than me. It's another artist I know, and her name is Nancy Hillis, and she and her partner are like very smart, like science and physics and math. I mean, her partner may actually be an actual rocket scientist. I'm not actually sure, but they are very smart people. And so they love to study the intersect between creativity and these science principles and math principles that they love. And so they come up with these amazing concepts. And so there was one in her book, or their book, called, the book is called Adjacent Possible. A really good book if you want to read it. The one principle in there is about starting, and they talked about how there is actually a mathematical principle that says that the space between 0 to 1 can be measured mathematically, and it is larger than any other space between any other number. Isn't that wild? It totally goes with the idea that it is so hard to start something. For example, if we move away from the painting, think about trying to start an exercise routine. If you're not typically into fitness, but you decide you want to get healthy, you'll be gung-ho for it for a bit. But then think about 3 weeks down the line. It's really hard to keep going. Once you lose your motivation, it's kind of like, ugh, I don't feel like going. But I know if I get there, then I'll do it, right? It's that whole starting. And so to go with that, I was reading a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he was talking about how you start a habit and how it has to be easy enough to be completed in 2 minutes. And he's not talking about the whole habit, but the very first easiest step of a habit should take 2 minutes or less. And that is because you also need to practice showing up for yourself. So for the exercise example, your very first easy 2-minute step is putting on your shoes, like your sneakers. Put them on, and that's it. That's all you do. Now, if you're like me and you want to start a new habit, you want to be all gung-ho and actually like get those shoes on and get to the gym 5 days in a week. And I have done that before, and I burned myself out doing it. So I know that it doesn't work, but I still keep trying to do it that way because that's what I know to do. Until now, he says if you start the habit so small that it's so easy, you can build off of that. And so if you're putting your shoes on, picking up a brush, getting your sketchbook out, that takes 2 minutes. You're more likely to continue on to the next step of the habit, which can be making these pages that I'm doing. if you can get past that starting point, there is nothing you can't accomplish. It is freeing because we get stuck. If I'm stuck here looking at this page and I'm thinking too much, I'm not going to start because I'll be like, well, I don't know what mark to make. I don't know what to do today. But if I just go without thinking, then I just go. I want that for you. And you may be wondering why I'm painting book pages. Well, I don't just paint them to paint them and throw them away. I use these. I have a whole bucket full of pages like this, and not always book pages, but other papers too, where I paint them when I am not sure what I want to paint, or if I'm feeling a little bit nervous to paint for whatever reason, because even after 5 years of painting, I still struggle with comparison and self-doubt. And is this mark okay? I don't know if I should make a mark like that. All kinds of things. What are people going to think about what I'm making? But I try to push through that, and that's where the start comes in. So anyway, I have a whole bucket of these pages and other papers that are used for collage. So I can put these into my paintings, and I have these completely unique collage papers. Instead of like going to the store and buying scrapbook paper or already patterned paper, I have all of these papers that are uniquely mine, and I love that. I love the addition of a unique collage paper because it's using these pages. So I'm not just painting just to paint, although it does feel good just to paint. So I am in a way, but I also am using what I'm making. So if you have a hard time starting, start by pulling out your sketchbook and a brush. Don't do anything else. Try that for a couple days. If you find that you do it, then okay, put some black paint on your little palette paper here, or a paper plate if that's what you have. And then just start making marks. Don't worry about what it looks like. You can make scribbles. Like, all right, let's see. Let me finish this one and then I'll make a scribbly page, because you can do whatever you want. And where else in life can you do whatever you want? Nowhere. I find painting so freeing because it's the one place where I can do what I want. I can follow any idea I have, and it doesn't matter. It's just fun. All right, so there's that one. Let me do a scribbly one. See how fun is that? And it releases so many emotions when you just let the brush go. I want you to try that. See? And I could use that in a painting, absolutely. There would be no hesitation on my part to use that. Okay, one more, because I'm running out of paint. I really hope that you just start. Make that brush stroke and get going. And if you do, I would love to see it. Just comment below what you've made. Send me an email. And if you want to hear more about creating and creativity and simple ideas for creating, then just subscribe to the channel or sign up for my newsletter. I would love to have you join. Now look at that happy accident. It pulled some of the paper off, but that is such a cool shape that I would not have gotten on my own. That happened because the paint was not quite wet enough, but I was running out. So happy accidents are also welcome here. I hope that you have an amazing day, and if you paint, let me know.